Hello everyone, just sat down at the computer, so going to go over this dump and bounce that we got going live. So what we're watching is Bitcoin to be the leader, and we have the strong correlation where we have everything pulling back at the same time. So we have to be looking for Bitcoin to lead the bounce back in that scenario. So just to get a general overview of where we are, and personally I'm currently in ETH and I started scaling in, I'll go over that in just a minute. But what I'm looking at on Bitcoin is still a support level that is trying to hold of 12,800, and we also have 13,000 psychological. So there are still a couple support levels on the daily time frame. We can see the 4-hour time frame is still tight, trying to form that higher low. We can see the hourly time frame is forming a bullish reversal candlestick after just getting down towards the oversold level when we were at the low of the dump. But really on all of these time frames, it's the 15-minute RSI that is so beat up. And this definitely looks news related in the sense that we have, high bear volume and everything's correlated together in dumping. I haven't scanned for news. Like I said, I literally just got home and sat down. So at this point, I'm just watching for the 15-minute oversold bounce to play out. I am playing ETH because I have been loving the ETH 15-minute oversold bounces over the last 2 weeks. I traded the one this morning and locked in the profit on the day there, and looking for some similar gains here on ETH. So what we're looking for on Bitcoin is the key resistance of the top of this initial bounce attempt. And that's up at 13,420. And we're going to head up and test that level right now. The bulls need to break it or it is just a lower high. And if we look on the 5-minute time frame, we can see lower highs and lower lows are still following through. These lines are exponential moving averages, the 12 and 26 period that you can find on GDAX. Those are the lines I'm looking at. I'm playing ETH because I love the 15-minute RSI down in the teens. That's a gift in my opinion. We have the top of the bounce just breaking, so a little bit of a different scenario. Look at the stronger bounce already. We held support. There's a big difference. So a low of 1230.10, 1230.05. That's a double bottom and then a break of the lower highs. Bitcoin is still lower highs and lower lows. I am very comfortable in my Ethereum position. I scaled in. Let me check. I got another computer up here checking the orders. Scaled in at 1233.10, and then I did a market order at 1237. So I am currently in my position, and I am going to scale out in the upper 1260s, half of my position, and then I'm going to let a little bit ride and see if we can get some bigger gains from there. So we have the hourly bullish reversal candlestick is forming with this double bottom right at the oversold RSI levels. And again, Bitcoin is leading the charge. It has to break this lower high pattern right now, and it's coming up to test this level. And Ethereum just heading up towards my sell order for half of my position. So again, just locking in those gains. What I did this morning was the same thing. I scaled in, and I will give a little bit more detailed order or a little bit more detailed description of my trade this morning on Ethereum in just a bit once we see this bounce play out a little bit more. Checking in on Litecoin for similar action. We can see the 15-minute RSI oversold as well. We saw the high of the bounce attempt. 231.01 is resistance. So the high of the bounce attempt has to break for these bulls. Otherwise, it's just a lower high. So checking in on Ripple. Ripple is dumping as well. Here's the bounce attempt on Ripple. Ripple got extremely oversold. The hourly RSI was down in the teens, which when we have these big three, their 15 minutes are in the teens. So definitely more oversold on Ripple and trying to bounce right now. I am in a Ripple position as well. Entered a little bit early down in the right around where we are right now, break even. So because I entered a little bit early, I'm going to exit a little bit more cautiously and make sure that, we don't head back down to lower lows. So whenever I'm entering an oversold bounce and I get in too early and I don't have cash to continue scaling in, I will exit sooner to be more protective of that position because I did not get the risk to reward standpoint that I wanted. So that's where I'm at on Ripple, but where I'm at on ETH is very, very comfortable, break even stop losses and letting it ride a little bit. So that's where we stand on these names. Again, everything is dumping. The more oversold, the more likely the bounce, but we have to see Bitcoin turn things around to have confidence in any continuation. And right now, Bitcoin is still forming a lower high on the 5-minute time frame. So my strategy with ETH for entering this trade was seeing the dump, seeing the bounce, and this is when I sat down right here and I said, oh, I missed it, and I'm not going to chase it here. And then I got a second opportunity, and we held that support level. So I scaled in, like I said. I saw that the bulls were establishing support, and then I did a market order to make sure I filled the rest because I'm not going to sit around and try and get filled limit after I see a double bottom hit and the bulls start to show up. I didn't fill all of my position. I got about 60%. I definitely kept cash on the sidelines in case we drop down towards 1,200. And definitely wanted to be able to average down if that was the case. But where I'm at right now is very comfortable looking for a move and some follow through. If we can get Bitcoin to break this lower high, lower low pattern on the 5-minute time frame and head to say 13,600, I'm going to be looking for Ethereum to head to the 1280 mark and maybe even a little higher. So 1280 will be a target if Bitcoin can break this pattern and shift the momentum on the 5-minute time frame to the bulls. Checking in on Litecoin's bounce just comparatively, and we are weakest right now. So I would say Ethereum is the strongest, Bitcoin's number 2, Litecoin is number 3, and of course keeping an eye on Ripple because it dumped so significantly on this 4-hour time frame, getting oversold as well. Look at the big bullish reversal candlestick and volume climax coming on Ripple's 4-hour time frame. So when I see that the case, I am more likely to hold longer term for this bounce to play out. If Ethereum were at 4-hour RSI oversold, I would be holding a lot longer than if it is just the 15-minute RSI oversold. So patiently waiting to see if Bitcoin can turn things around and make me a lot more comfortable on this bounce. And while we wait for this to play out a little bit, again, if you're not in a position already, choose who you want to play and make sure you are protecting that if we head to lower lows, you exit your position and then allow yourself to be able to re-enter fairly quickly if we do see continuation to the downside, because again, we will be at extreme oversold levels. But keep in mind that when we bounce like this, look at the 15-minute RSI on Bitcoin. It is cooling off, and we go back to the hourly and we say we're not oversold yet. So we do have to be cautious in that regard. Like I said, if the more time frames that are oversold, the more comfortable I am that the bounce is going to play out, which is the instance on Ripple. But it's not that way for Bitcoin. If Bitcoin bounces here and rejects and then heads back down towards 1300, we absolutely could see another leg down on Bitcoin. We have to be cautious of that. And right now, we are looking for a higher low to form on Bitcoin compared to 13,073. Also watching volume very closely. If I start to see increasing bear volume, I am going to be a lot more skeptical that we're going to be able to form a higher low on this 5-minute time frame, as opposed to if we see some low bear volume and a little bit of a healthy pullback comparative to the 15-minute bounce that we just saw. So if I were to see Bitcoin falling back on increasing bear volume, I would exit my Ethereum position in a market sell order to lock in that profit and to have all cash and be very cautious, because like I said, again, this morning, I already locked in my profit for the day on Ethereum. If you saw the video that I put out yesterday, which was certainly long-winded, I described how my goal is to lock in profit every day. And if you've been noticing, the East Coast has been really marking some nice bullish opportunities. Granted, they're short term, but between 6 and 8 a.m. Eastern over the past couple months, the East Coast waking up on the United States has given some bullish action, and we often see those moves fade into the rest of the day. So let's go back in time here to Bitcoin this morning. Look at this morning. This is 7 a.m., 7:15 a.m., bull breakout. Those who locked in profit had their profit on the day and they're done. Those who tried to hold hopefully got stopped out, and those that didn't have stop orders are now in the red significantly. So lock in that profit when you have it, when we are in this choppy market environment without clear direction on the daily time frame. So my trade earlier this morning on Ethereum, rolled over in bed, saw 15-minute oversold RSI and started scaling in. So I scaled in here at 1288.10, 1285.10, 1281.10. My order, and I'm in the wrong spot here, looking for this dump this morning. Trying to find the timeline here. Hold on one moment. Down here. So here we go. This is where we were dumping down. The 15-minute RSI got oversold. I was scaling it, excuse me, 1288.10, 1285.10, and that's my order right there at 1281.10. I was the bottom, and that filled 90% of my order that was sitting there. But again, I had cash on the sideline in case we continued to scale down. I was not trying to time the bottom. When you're scaling in, you're not trying to nail the bottom. You're making sure that you have a position as we get into these oversold levels, and then you are keeping some cash on the sideline in case things get extreme, like we just saw on this 15-minute time frame getting really extreme. You want to have cash to be able to get back in to lower levels, because if you scale in too quickly and then we continue down, you find yourself in a really tricky spot in terms of risk to reward. So I entered 60% of my stack on those 3 orders, and then I sold on the way up. My first sell was just under 13, and then my second sell was at 13.18. And again, I didn't buy, well, I did get the bottom in this case, but I didn't sell at the top. But that profit right there is all I need on the day, and if I do that every day, I'm a very happy man. And so now I have another opportunity for more profit in a similar way, short term on this dump. Just going to lock it in and then we'll take it from there and get another opportunity tomorrow perhaps. So checking in on Bitcoin on the 5-minute time frame, it's not looking good for the bulls right now. Let's see what the volume looks like. No red flag on the volume at this point. We have to see a higher low on this 5-minute time frame, and you can see the correlation with everything. Litecoin heading back down, even Ethereum heading back down, trying to form a higher low on the 5-minute. Ripple, 5-minute time frame, a little bit of consolidation. Ripple trying to get that higher low and higher high on the 5-minute as well. Ethereum out of these four is the only one that has done it at this point, which makes me happy I'm in Ethereum. But have to see Bitcoin establish this higher low right now. So the next 20 minutes are going to tell us if the bottom is in for now or if we are going to dump down to lower lows. And again, I'm not going to be greedy and try and look for Ethereum to make a move back towards, 1320. I'm going to lock it in on the way up and ensure that, worst case scenario, I'm still going to have some profit here as I exit before my buy-in level. So I guess I could sing a song while we wait a little bit. Let's see, what else is there to talk about? We have, again, those little articles. Again, nothing major, but just little article after little article that is favoring the bears on this pullback. We have the futures expiration, I believe, midweek Wednesday. That's definitely something to keep an eye on. A lot of people think that options expiration on Wednesday is going to mark, shift from bearish to bullish, as the people that may have made bearish bets on the futures and tried to contain the price of Bitcoin to cash in on that. Those futures will expire and they will be all said and done, and then they'll try and move the price up. I personally am not going to buy into that hypothesis. I'm going to watch the charts, and if I don't see it on the charts, I'm certainly not going to expect any bullish action. So where we stand on the daily time frame for all these names right now is not looking entirely strong. Obviously, we have the higher low still in play, but if we see a break of 12,800 on Bitcoin, it is definitely a red flag. So that is a key level to watch tonight and into tomorrow. And our must-break resistance for the bulls is up here at 14,500. And I'm watching Ethereum on my other screen right now, see a little bit of bullish action. So that means if I look at the 5-minute time frame for Bitcoin, I bet we're going to see a lower wick on this 5-minute candlestick. And it's not there just yet, but let's see if this lower wick starts to form and the bulls try and form this higher low as we see Ethereum with that lower wick trying for that higher low. So a lot of fast-paced action right now. Again, we have to protect these trades because it's only the 15-minute RSIs that are oversold unless you are playing Ripple, which means we can very easily head to another lower low. Checking back in on Bitcoin, we are still low here, though that 15-minute RSI is 20. Personally, I'm not going to allow myself to get stopped out on an RSI that is under 20, but I am going to have cash to make sure that I'm able to take advantage of it if we do drop down into the low teens and maybe even single digits RSI. Can't imagine that we're going to get down to that level unless this is some significant FUD news, but as of right now, it's all about Bitcoin, so everybody else can try and bounce. So volume right now on this 5-minute candlestick is a little bit higher than the bulls would like to see. We still have, I can see right now that the volume is the same on these last two 5-minute candlesticks, and we still have over a minute left in this current candlestick. So that tells me that we are going to have increased volume on this current candlestick, and it needs to start favoring the bulls with a lower wick, or we are heading back down to this low of 12, or make that 13,073. So again, this is just very micro levels using the 5 and 15-minute time frame. If you are swing trading, it's all about 12,800. For Litecoin, it's all about 219 and 7. And for Ethereum, we had a bear break of the 4-hour time frame. We were looking for a 4-hour equilibrium pattern, and we had the makings of it this morning. Inside bar bear break on the 4-hour time frame occurred at 1292. And if that was a signal to get out, that would have saved $62 of downside as we saw this increasing bear volume and follow through as we shifted on the 4-hour time frame with a lower high and a lower low. So the bears have momentum all over the place, and that is why I am currently short-term trading and locking in gains when I have them, and without the ability to be playing bearish due to GDAX and margin requirements, definitely limited in terms of ability to capitalize in all environments. So oversold bounces is what we have. Bitcoin bulls still not showing up on this 5-minute time frame. They're running out of time here as we head back down to the lows. Definitely looking like volume climaxes on the hourly time frame. Actually, we're going to see very similar volume here. last candlestick. Again, this is a lesson in estimating volume on candlesticks, judging by how much time we have left. So this last hourly candlestick for Bitcoin had volume of 2.47K. So 2,470. I look at the volume on this current candlestick and I say 1,200. And I look at the time and I say we have 30 minutes left in this candlestick. So it's theoretically halfway done forming. And if I double the volume we currently have, we're going to see 2.4, and it's going to be roughly the same volume. Now, it could certainly be more or less. This is a very rough estimation, but I can see that this hourly candlestick is going to be high volume, especially because this bounce is not underway yet. If the bounce goes further underway, I know volume's going to tick up for the bulls, and if we're not done yet and we head down to lower lows, I know the volume's going to pick up for the bears. So I can say with confidence that this hourly candlestick is going to see more volume than the previous candlestick, and we're looking for that for the potential of a climax. So looking at Litecoin, again, the volume is clearly going to be higher on this candlestick as we're already well into 50%, well past 50% of the volume of the previous candlestick. Hourly RSI is oversold on Litecoin. Ethereum hourly volume looking a little bit less. Nice little move there on Ethereum. You can see that volume, or I should say that volatility is picking up. We just moved on Ethereum $18 in 1 minute, and that's because someone did a big market order, which is not advisable when you're in these thin conditions. Right now, a 300 ETH buy is going to jump the price $15. So certainly don't want to be using market orders. That market order that I did do at 1237 was a small position comparatively. It was about 10 to 20% of the stack that I was looking to play with. So at this point, I have currently exited half of my bounce on Ethereum. Wanted to lock in that 1237 position that I got with some small profit, and I'm currently still holding the 1233 position that I got, and I will exit that one at break even as well and have all cash to reload if we see another leg down. Checking back in on Bitcoin, again, not looking good, increasing bear volume, and we're seeing this low here of 13,073 about to be tested, and it just broke. So another lower high and a lower low on Bitcoin. That's certainly going to stifle Ethereum's bounce, even though we did break the lower high pattern. And Bitcoin right now on the 15-minute time frame, RSI is down at about 17. So here is Ethereum testing that double low of 1230, and we are about to see another leg down, and there it goes. So I'm going to be getting ready to scale in further position and making sure that I'm leaving lots of space. I'm using the order book. I'm seeing on the ETH order book right now that there is a wall at 1225 support. If 1225 breaks, we're heading down to 1220 very quickly. So that might be a scenario where I look to enter in the 1221 range, because if I can anticipate, if we break 1225, the odds that we drop another $3 to $4 very quickly are likely, because the order book is showing me that there's not any wall of support there. I can see the walls of support are at 1225 and 12. Looks like 1217, 1218. And it looks like, and there's a dump. So here we go down, and my GDAX just froze on this dump. So that's going to make me even more cautious, of course. Here's Bitcoin at 1,300, looking for that climax flush. And we just broke all kinds of support on Ethereum. So I exited all of my positions, pretty much break even. And now all cash to be reloading this gift of an opportunity of an all-out dump, and I'm going to be doing so very cautiously and spacing my orders out with some decent space in between them. As Bitcoin is still showing no sign of a bounce, and this 15-minute RSI is down at 16. Hourly RSI is right now at oversold. And again, Litecoin hourly RSI is down approaching 20. 15-minute RSI on Litecoin, same scenario, down at about 15. And again, that was my order at 1218.10 on Ethereum. But again, using small orders, making sure I have plenty of cash in case we see continuation. And again, all of my decision making is based off of Bitcoin right now. I am not confident in any bounce that any of these names make unless Bitcoin is leading the way on this bounce. And Bitcoin is heading to 12,800. If we break that level, we will likely see stop losses flush and some extreme oversold levels. So Bitcoin potential 5-minute volume climax, very high 5-minute volume. And just like that, look at the hourly volume now with still 25 minutes to go. Very clearly is going to be increased volume and more likely to be a volume climax candlestick. So at this point, I was filled on Ethereum at 1218.10. I've got another couple orders staggered before 1200. There's a big wall of support at 1200. I would anticipate that level to hold for the bulls. So here's the bounce attempt on Bitcoin. Again, until Bitcoin gives us a 5-minute higher low and higher high, we cannot be too confident in this bounce. Need that 5-minute higher low, higher high. So at this point, I'll probably grab another position in Ethereum the same size in the 1220s, just in case we do see this bounce begin to play out, because these 15-minute RSIs are at extreme levels, and we are going to see a 15-minute RSI or a 15-minute volume climax. Again, I look at the volume, I see Bitcoin with the 15-minute volume at the highest peak pretty much, and I can look down and say, wow, we still have 8 or 9 minutes left, not even halfway done this 15-minute candlestick, and the volume is already higher than anything we've seen in a very long time, aside from a candlestick just previously. But again, so much time left, I can tell that we are very easily going to pass this volume. And XRP held up well because of the bounce. This is XRP BTC, but it's holding up well because it was at more extreme levels. 4-hour RSI oversold, bullish reversal candlestick. So it's broken its correlation a bit to the big three. And now we have Ethereum bouncing a little bit more. But do not trust this bounce on Bitcoin. I do not trust this bounce on Bitcoin until I see that higher low and higher high on that 5-minute chart. So at this point, I can anticipate that it's going to take at least another 15 minutes before this 5-minute time frame gives us any kind of sign that the bulls are taking over. I was just filled on Ethereum, more in the low 1220s. At this point, again, only about 30-40% of my stack in Ethereum, keeping a lot of cash in case we see continuation. If the bears are trying to take out this wall on Bitcoin, or I should say the support on Bitcoin at 12,800, we could see Ethereum test its wall of 1,200. And if we were to get Ethereum breaking 1,200 on this dump without any kind of 15-minute bounce, these RSI levels on the 15-minute time frame are going to be the lowest they've been in a very long time. Again, big upper whip on Bitcoin. Bulls not proving anything at this point. I can see the order book for Ethereum. The next amount of support is in the 1,200 to 1,203 range. So if I'm looking for more, I'm not going to put my order where there's no other orders nearby and we could easily drop $10 in a minute. I'm going to be looking down closer towards that wall. And I am going to save some in case we get that flush under this 1,200 wall, which is coming up now very quickly. These key levels for Bitcoin and Ethereum are coming up very quickly. And it does look like we're going to flush below them right now. So I would be looking at Ethereum in the 1180s as my next order. I'm not even going to put one above 1,200 at this point right now. And the one feature that GDAX does not have that I wish in this scenario is, tell me what my average cost basis is. Don't make me do this math in my head when I'm entering at so many different levels. So I am looking for this flush climax below 12,800 on Bitcoin and below 1,200 on Ethereum. Let's see where Litecoin, that daily support of 219. You can tell we're testing all key support levels at the same time on these names. And here is Bitcoin at that support, about to break it. This is bearish on the daily chart. If it breaks, bulls are trying here. Let's see if the bulls, that would be a miraculous save if the bulls could hold this level. Hourly volume with 20 minutes to go is already exceeding the previous candlestick. Look at that 15-minute with five. We're only 60% way done. This 5-minute or the 15-minute candlestick here. Still no confidence in the bulls. Volume flush, or I should say support break flush, looks likely. 15-minute RSI is down at 14 on Bitcoin. On this flush, we could see, if we get this flush, we could see single digits on this 15-minute RSI. The only time I would be using market buy orders in this kind of scenario at this point would be if we see a 5-minute higher low and higher high. And on that 5-minute higher high, might have to use a market order, but that's being extremely cautious if you're waiting until that point. So just because we held the first test doesn't mean we're in the clear, but that does give the bulls something to work with and a little bit of confidence. And Ethereum went right down to 1205.98. Litecoin still a very weak bounce, similar to Bitcoin. And I'm just sitting tight very patiently. I have some coins where if the bounce does begin on Ethereum, I'm not going to be left in the dust with nothing. But I'm also not going to rush in and buy with all my cash and have empty hands if we drop down below this 1200 level. I want a solid amount of cash to be able to get that volume climax. Decent bull volume on this candlestick for a bounce. Going to be one of the higher 5-minute bull volume candlesticks that we've seen on this dump. So that is worth noting. And you can see how much I'm using volume in my analysis. And I'm not able to interact with anybody in terms of YouTube comments or even member comments in the chat room right now as I'm doing my own trading while I'm live. Got multiple computers, multiple screens, lots going on. And on this kind of scenario, I wouldn't use the 2-minute time frame for anything but candlestick and price action. I wouldn't use RSI levels personally or MACD or anything like that, but I would use it to see if we can start seeing some higher lows and higher highs on the 2-minute. Then I know to zoom out to the 5-minute and start looking for it as well. Pretty decent bounce on Ripple so far from the low. About 7%. And definitely going to have to scan for news once I'm done with this live and see what the chat room's got, because this is certainly some very notable bearish action. Look at that volume on this 2-minute candlestick for Bitcoin. That is a huge volume spike. And it looks like it might be a bit of an error because it's not there when I go to the 1-minute chart. $135. Yeah, it's very odd that that 2-minute volume is so much higher than all these other candlesticks. 1-minute chart's not lining up there. Either way, I can tell that the bears are heading back down to this support level and the bulls are not out of the woods yet. So still sitting patiently with cash and waiting for this break of support and potential stop loss flush. So as soon as I see the 2-minute time frame give us a higher low and a higher high, I'll zoom back out to the 5-minute time frame on Bitcoin. And you can see how quickly we're moving where these 2-minute candlesticks have, $100 ranges as support and resistance levels are very thin. The order book right now on Ethereum, price would be up in the 1230s if we just saw a 1200 volume. So thin on the way up and some decent walls of support on the way down, which the bulls are hoping to hold. And traders like me are kind of hoping they break. So there's that 2-minute higher low and higher high on Bitcoin. So we zoom to the 5-minute. Still a long way to go on this 5-minute time frame before I have any confidence in this bounce. Ethereum bulls are already getting going here a bit. And these moving averages, these exponential moving averages, the 12 and the 26 period, I only really use them on the hourly time frame. I really like them on the hourly time frame. And again, I use them because it is what is ingrained in GDAX. You can't really change it. So it is what a lot of people are looking at. And when that is the case, they can be almost a self-fulfilling prophecy with so many eyes on them. And I have seen them come into play time and time again. So on this oversold bounce, when it does get going, I'm going to be looking at that as a potential target. The exponential moving average resistances on the hourly time frame will be a target for this bounce. This Bitcoin 5-minute candlestick is not going to see increasing volume, so I do make note of that. The bulls certainly want to see increasing bull volume. Again, checking back in on the daily chart to see this key support level to maintain higher lows and to keep giving the bulls a shot. If we lose that level, we are certainly looking at further pullback on the weekly time frame for Bitcoin. There's a bit more follow through. So once we top out on this bounce attempt, I need a higher low and a higher high to have confidence. So another strategy that we've talked about in the past is if you do find yourself in a full position and we do find ourselves not at the bottom, this would be a scenario where in the past I would, let's say I was in a full position right now and trading either Ethereum or Bitcoin, I would market sell my position into that key wall of support if I can see that we're going to test it and likely to break it. So I have all cash to exit lower. So even if that means I eat a loss on my initial trade attempt, it'll be a small loss, and I would have all cash to look for the flush, because if, like I said, if we flush on Ethereum under 1200, I expect to get to 1180 at least very quickly. And for Bitcoin, if we break under 12.8, I would expect to get to 12.5 very quickly. But that's not the situation I am currently in, because I have intentionally kept a good amount of cash on the sidelines here due to the amount of weakness, and again, due to the fact that these hourly RSI levels are not at extreme levels. I would be very surprised if this hourly candlestick, which has 10 minutes to go, is not the volume climax. But that doesn't mean we can't break this support level still. So the top of this bounce is in now on Bitcoin, this 5-minute bounce. These yellow lines are awful. And that top of the bounce is 13,100. Looks like we got another test coming. So the range right now in Bitcoin, 12,800 to 13,100. And you can see my lack of pointing out key levels on Ethereum, even though it's what I'm trading, they mean less to me than what Bitcoin levels mean to me. All because of correlation. As we just saw, Ethereum gave us a double bottom and a break of the lower highs. It didn't matter. It was completely erased. If I was trading only Ethereum and not watching the Bitcoin correlation, I would be scratching my head and very frustrated that this bounce did not play out, because it gave me the signal. But it doesn't matter that it did, because Bitcoin did not. So let's see if Bitcoin can get this higher low on the 5-minute time frame. Next resistance, if the bulls could break 13,100, is 13,150 and 13,400. And I'm rounding a bit, but you can see these psychological levels are clearly coming into play once these order books get thinned out with little resistance. These bounce attempts top out at psychological levels. So now we patiently wait. And make note of what's going on in yourself. If your heart's racing right now, or you're starting to sweat, or you're really nervous, make note of that. That is a bit of a red flag. But as you play these bounces more and more, and as you trade more and get more experience, that definitely will go away, or at least decrease to a significant degree. And if you can't tell right now, I am as cool as a cucumber and patiently waiting. So our higher low attempt right now on Bitcoin is 12,915, the low of that 5-minute candlestick. This won't be enough for me to say bottom is in if we do get this break here, but this is a good sign for that potential. 15-minute inside bar will be great to watch. Bitcoin 15-minute inside bar. Ethereum, same thing. Litecoin already broke bullish. Litecoin is certainly very thin, and a market order can move it very quickly. So I just shifted where I was watching the 5-minute time frame. Now I'm shifting to the 15-minute. We still have 6 minutes until this candlestick closes. So I'm assuming it's going to be an inside bar. It might not be. But look what level we didn't break. We just topped out again, just $5 under 13,100. We'll see if the bulls can break it. And again, I am still cautious because this is cooling off the 15-minute RSI. If this candlestick closes this strong, the 15-minute RSI is almost no longer oversold, and the hourly RSI is still not even in the 20s. That is a nice long lower wick, though, on that hourly candlestick with that volume behind it. Hope everybody's having a good Monday night. Canadian MJ has been providing wonderful opportunities as it has been the last month. And between Canadian MJ and cryptocurrency, I don't think I'm ever going to see market opportunity like we have in the last 6 months. Ethereum's looking a little better now, getting a little momentum behind it. Stronger bounce on the 5-minute than Bitcoin. Just comparatively, Bitcoin's still struggling here. Ethereum's getting those higher lows and higher highs. Multiple times we're seeing Ethereum show more bullish action. So that tells me that once Bitcoin really does get going and the bottom is in for now, that the Ethereum bounce should be even more significant, which is again why I chose to play Ethereum. Anything above 1084 on the daily time frame for Ethereum is a higher low. This is still an extremely bullish daily chart on Ethereum. One thing that I'll be keeping an eye out for that is potentially forming, let's get rid of some of these lines so it can be clear on the daily. If we were to form a higher low compared to that level and then see another bounce attempt, there would be the potential for a bearish reversal head and shoulders pattern. So it's very, very early, but it would be something I would be keeping an eye out for. That won't be in play for 2-3 days at the earliest. But it's important to note those things and keep an eye on them. And if it's overwhelming in terms of the amount of time frames that you're cycling through and the amount of information you need to keep track of, have a notebook next to you. I have a notebook that I write in every single day. Not necessarily key levels, but I'm keeping track of my account sizes and what I've done on the day in terms of profit. And writing down, keep an eye on on Ethereum daily head and shoulders. And you look down at that in 2 days and say, oh yeah, that could come in handy. And I also really like writing things by hand as it helps commit them to memory more rather than just typing it in. At least that's what I find personally, and I do believe there are scientific studies to back that up. So Bitcoin has to break 13,100 at the very least to have any hope. We can't break that level. There is little hope. And we're heading back down to 12.8. Hourly candlestick is about to close. Very big volume behind it. Bulls need to see increasing bull volume to add to confidence. And this hourly volume on Ethereum is very, very high. I take that back. It is higher, but not extreme. GDAX data looks a little off. So we have been rejecting from these exponential moving averages on the 5-minute time frame. I generally do not use them for this shorter time frame, but it will be worth noting when we do turn them into support. So there's that break on Bitcoin. Add a little bit more confidence to the bulls. Still need that higher low, higher high. That's not a very clear higher low that we got there. I want to see the top of this bounce. I want to see a couple candlesticks of consolidation form a higher low, and then a clear higher high. 2-minute time frame has a nice little higher low, higher high pattern. I want to see that on the 5-minute. So 13,100 resistance is now gone. Currently profitable on the position I do have in Ethereum. And if I start to gain confidence, I will look to add on this 5-minute higher low that we are looking for now. But I don't have that confidence at this point. And I have enough coins on Ethereum that I will be just, I'll be perfectly fine and happy if the bounce starts and I don't have a full position due to the bounce earlier this morning. So hopefully this doesn't take too much longer because I'm not trying to stay on here all night. I will be watching for this volume climax, break of support, or a 5-minute higher low and higher high. And once we get one or the other, I will wrap it up. Got those volume alerts coming out either this week or next week. And we'll make a video explaining them. Multiple different volume indicators. And then we'll talk about what is next in terms of the next indicators we're going to be looking to put out. But the volume indicators would certainly be going off on these hourly time frames. So 15-minute inside bar did form on Bitcoin. Definitely worth watching. Litecoin was not a 15-minute inside bar, and Ethereum was a 15-minute inside bar, and we're currently forming a second inside bar. But we have 13 minutes to go, so that may not be the case before the candlestick closes. Checking back in on Ripple, nice follow through. Nothing huge at this point. Key resistance, look at all this resistance at 12.1. XRP BTC here. This is an ascending triangle pattern with a clear horizontal resistance level and higher lows as we approach it. So the range right now on XRP BTC is 11.76 support and 12.1 resistance. Hourly inside bars. Daily chart trying to form a bullish reversal candlestick. It's healthy consolidation on the weekly. Again, don't forget that Ripple just ran hundreds of %. We will be looking for a higher low on the weekly to be established. So here comes Bitcoin. We have to form this higher low, higher high, or we will break this key support. $15-minute RSI on Bitcoin cooled off to 30 and heading back down. Hourly RSI on Bitcoin. If we break this support wall, again, it will be down into the low 20s, which hourly RSI in the low 20s almost every time is a solid bounce opportunity. You can see Litecoin rejecting from these exponential resistances the whole way down. And this is going back over the last 3+ hours. So certainly turning them into support and seeing a bullish cross of these exponential moving averages would be noteworthy. So while we patiently wait, is it time to stand up and stretch or floss your teeth or do something productive? I've already got the game plan. Clearly, I've got my game plan established, and I'm just waiting for it to play out. Don't need to be scanning all different time frames and, trying to find other coins. Got the game plan established and just need to execute. So we got our 12,951. Bulls trying for this to be the higher low. Resistance, 13,118. And that would give us a 15-minute inside bar bull break if that did occur. Anything on the 15-minute time frame under 13,400 on Bitcoin will be a lower high. So the order of what I do, as you can just see, is I went to the 2-minute time frame to see the higher lows and higher highs start forming. Now I go to the 5-minute time frame and I'm looking for higher lows and higher highs. We still don't have them. And then once we get those, I will zoom out to the 15-minute time frame and I will look for higher lows and higher highs. Then, if we get it there, I will look to the hourly for the same thing. That also helps me judge on when to sell. If we were to see Bitcoin right now, bull break, and head to 13,300, I would start scaling out some of my position under these key resistances in case it is just another lower high, anticipating that we will need a higher low and higher high for this time frame to see a reversal. But bulls are still not proving anything on the 5-minute time frame just yet. This is the nice clear consolidation that I would be looking for in terms of a clearly established higher low. But we have to break the lower highs to be confident that a higher low has formed. You can see 1250 has some big resistance for Ethereum. Checking the order book for Bitcoin. Key resistance, not really a ton until 13.2. And even then, it's not a ton. That's just where there's a little bit of a wall. Quite the battle going on. Curious what BCH is doing in all of this. I personally don't play BCH due to liquidity. So if I'm looking for an update on the coin, I'm looking at the daily key support 2,187. We did break it. And I just zoom in on the time frames for more and more information. I can see a 4-hour volume climax, very likely on BCH. Hourly RSI down in the low 20s. Inside bar in the hourly time frame, very likely. Inside bar in the 15 minutes, so certainly correlated with Bitcoin as well. But it broke a key daily support, whereas Bitcoin is still holding it at this point. Notice we are not seeing bull volume increasing on any bounce attempt. All of these bounce attempts, decreasing bull volume, decreasing bull volume, decreasing, must see it increasing. So ETH comfortably in profit on my 12,200 orders, or excuse me, 1,220 orders. And bulls need to show us something in the next 15 minutes. Coming to a standstill. Let's see, what else can we talk about while we wait? Let's talk about building wealth. If you have done really well in cryptocurrency, I suggest keeping your lifestyle very similar. For me personally, the things that have changed in my life after a very successful cryptocurrency 2017, I go out to eat a bit more, I tip more, and I give more cash to homeless people. I definitely make sure and keep cash on me for that reason. Other than that, I'm driving the same car I got 4 years ago. It's a used car. It works. It goes from point A to point B. I don't need anything flashy. The worst investment you can possibly make is a new car. If you're going to get a new car for you, make it a used car because you're going to lose money on that investment instantly once you buy it. I can understand cars are people's things, some people's things, but preserve that wealth, diversify. If your money, right now, the majority of my money is in stocks, stock trading accounts, and crypto trading accounts. That's too many numbers in virtual cyberspace for me. So I need to diversify, get some land, do some other things to diversify my assets. And certainly don't want to have, I know a lot of people are, all about crypto, but just in terms of protecting wealth for the future, having everything you can in crypto is not ideal. I would much rather have a certain percentage allocated to crypto, a certain percentage allocated to Canadian MJ, a certain percentage allocated to other things. But it also all depends on your life situation, whether you're single, whether you're young and can, make higher risk decisions. Retirement accounts, contributing to retirement accounts for tax benefits. So Ethereum's getting a little bit more momentum. Again, outpacing Bitcoin on the bounce. Key resistance on Ethereum for me is 1266. Inside bars on the 5-minute for Bitcoin. Ripple, tighter and tighter still, our new must-hold level for this ascending triangle pattern. This is a pretty picture-perfect ascending triangle pattern right now. If I were making a textbook of technical analysis, which may come someday, the chart guys have definitely considered it, we would put this picture in there. And this is our new higher low. A break of 11.9 would be bearish, and a break of 12.1 is bullish. Ethereum heading to higher highs. Bitcoin still tight. So I can say that with confidence that even though Ethereum is stronger right now, if Bitcoin sees a bear break from this tight range and heads back down to 12.8, Ethereum very quickly will drop back down to the 12 teens, regardless of the individual strength that Ethereum has seen. And here is this 26 period exponential resistance, which was the high of the last bounce. And here we are, it's the high of this bounce currently. And we rejected yet again. Come on, Bitcoin. Do something. Calm before the increase in volume and volatility very shortly coming. inside bars on the 15-minute time frame. We now have multiple inside bars. Still have not seen any 5-minute increasing bull volume candlesticks, which still has me skeptical of this bounce. And again, because Bitcoin is pulling back, Ethereum is getting the wind sucked out of it. Wind sucked out of its bull sails. $15-minute inside bar close to a bear break on Bitcoin, 12,951. And just like that, Ethereum heading back to the 12 teens as anticipated. Bitcoin is at key support, very close to a 15-minute inside bar bear break. Keep in mind also there's a 15-second delay on this mic or on this live stream, but we did just break bearish. Not a significant bear break at this point. And I would in fact call that a double bottom. It broke bearish by 32 cents. That is not anywhere significant enough for me to call that a bear break. You know, what's 32 cent percentage-wise on a $13,000 instrument? Very insignificant. So I would call that, you know, right now the alert service, obviously because it's a robot, would be sending out a bear break of this inside bar. But that's where you come on and use a little bit of human, you know, intuition and say, no, that's not a bear break just yet. Certainly still could break bearish, but not yet. But just watching how Ethereum is trading, I can tell that when this bounce does get going, it is going to be a very easy, you know, $60 bounce. And at this point, again, all signs that now that's a bear break. But all signs are telling me that this is just a bounce to cool off some RSI on the 15-minute before we see a flush. At this point, odds still favor a bear break of support and a flush down until I see increasing bull volume. And again, the 5-minute higher low, higher high. Until that happens, the odds very clearly favor the bears to break this support and give us a really nice entry opportunity. So if you've been patient this whole time, congrats to you, but you are wanting this bear break because it is going to give a very nice entry opportunity. The 15-minute inside bar bear break. And here we go, testing support again. 12,800 approaching. And at this point, I go and look at the order book for Bitcoin. I can see we've got about 120 coins before support breaks. And it looks like we're about to break it. So here we go with a flush. Watching very close. We've got about 70 or so coins before a break. Bulls aren't rolling over. They're not giving up. but they are certainly the underdog. So at this point, I've got one order where I want it on Ethereum. So there's the bear break on Bitcoin. Ethereum's still comfortably holding 1,200. So that little advantage for the bulls is giving a bit of a cushion. Surprising lack of stop losses triggering under 12,800 on Bitcoin at this point. But again, it's just another lower high and lower low on the 5-minute time frame. Bulls have to start all over again. What we just saw play out for 40 minutes, as I ramble on, all just erased in terms of an attempted change in trend. Ethereum down to 1208, approaching 1200. A couple thousand support at that level. Keep an eye on a turnaround here. Like I said, that was a very lackluster break of support. And if I see Bitcoin start to bounce here, I will likely add to my Ethereum position a bit more. And I just grabbed some right now with a small market order to not, see too much slippage. Just in case the bulls are able to turn it around, because I was anticipating Bitcoin to dump more significantly there. So at this point, I got about 40% cash in my Ethereum play. So I'm anticipating that Bitcoin is going to bounce instead of lower high compared to 13,118, and it's going to be the same thing that we just did. Look for a higher low and a higher high. So that the fact that we did not flush below that support when it broke gives a couple of points in terms of, I'm always keeping a mental hypothetical scoreboard between bulls and bears, and that shifts momentum, or not momentum, that shifts the score a little bit to the bulls. And I did not want to go live for an hour and a half. So I'm going to wrap it up soon. I'm not going to wait another 40 minutes for this to play out, but from where we stand right now, very impressive lack of dump for the bulls. Key resistance, 13,118. Have to see a 5-minute higher low and higher high. Once we get that, I then zoom out to the 15-minute time frame and I look for it on the 15-minute time frame. Once we get it there, I zoom out and look for it on the hourly. Hourly is 5 red hours in a row. We are going to see a bounce play out tonight. It's just a matter of when. So I have my partial position. Again, if we see the bounce from here on out, I will have some nice profit on the night. If we don't and we head to lower, I have a good amount of cash ready to go if Ethereum breaks 1200. So I appreciate you all tuning in. Unfortunately, we couldn't get a volume climax all-in entry or a break of the trend bullish reversal entry, but hopefully there was some helpful information, and hopefully we can all make some profit once this bounce does get going. So I appreciate you tuning in. I'm going to head back onto the chat room and we'll continue discussing over there. And I hope you have a good rest of your night, and we'll see you tomorrow.